Hey everybody. Figured I'd talk a little bit about the bloodlines, at least those in relation to it, what is connected to it, i.e., like the features, the traits, if you will. Because living in a world like this, the moment you start out, your history of your blood defines the flesh, the vessel to which you've been born into. The soul defines who you are, but let us not forget there are many factors that go into play once we get into this world. Not just the environment you grew up in, not just the social environment that you grew up in, not just the actual physical DNA that you have in your system, but also that to which you end up, I guess you could say, being affected by others. Because again, just like when it comes to the animal kingdom, whenever certain animals live by other animals for a time period, eventually they adapt to them. So when it comes to the human race, it's very similar. Anyways, not to equate humankind and animals, by no means, but it is simply to understand what goes into play, especially when it comes to these satanic bloodlines. The blood is packed with evil. You gotta understand this. They are related to evil things. So evil is very, very much ingrained in them. That is why it's easy for them to be going to war, to be lost to pride. I mean, the concept of survival of the fittest was, it's practically the elitist thing. Just look at Rome and their gladiatorial arenas. That was exactly that, and that was for entertainment, for God's sake. Now, if you could imagine that in today's society, or even in the beginning of the modern era, the industrial era, I should say. In my opinion, that's more like the beginnings in a way. But anyways, the point is, when it came to World War I or World War II, the obviousness is just as bright as day, and the evil is as dark as night, without the light of the moon. Moving on. Evolution is a belief system based of and for the elite. Mostly for us, they have their own belief systems. A lot of them might actually have cult belief systems. So a lot of the different factions have their own ways of thinking on things. And they could be close together in some areas. Other areas, it's kind of like with Christianity. There's many different doctrines, many different churches out there. It's not like they're as unified or as not unified as the rest of us. Again, when it comes to these survivalist mentalities where the strongest survive, of course, they're going to be all about who is strong, who is smart, who is more wealthy, more powerful. You know, they're all going to be cutthroats. Of course, they're going to be looking to slice each other's freaking Achilles tendons so they can fucking, take the lead on things. I've noticed in today's society that Disney and kids' TV shows are glorifying nobility and royalty, which, as someone who loves history, that's ridiculous. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm related to Charlemagne. This man, to force Christianity upon the pagans, he had such strict laws that if you touched a pagan idol, you'd lose that hand. If you looked upon an idol, whatever eye you saw it with, whether it be both or one, you would lose them. Alright? This is what I'm talking about. Just genocide and torture. And it's just, that's not how you convert people to Christ. In my opinion, I think he himself was a pagan. He was just trying to satisfy certain other people by doing the dance. That's what I call anyone that is trying to fill a position but not actually meet the requirements. They'd rather be the mask and not the actual being beneath the surface. Anyhow. I've noticed also in today's society, the narrative of morally good leaders is so common. It's ridiculous. most nobility have been heinous, evil people. And it's always been that way. When you, for crying out loud, when the strongest survive, you're not going to find somebody who's going to be extremely good-hearted. Does it mean that good-hearted people can't be powerful? Yes and no. Good people are good, and therefore they're not going to be doing the kinds of things that evil is willing to do. And that is why that good normally doesn't make the power structure. That is also why I find it ridiculous that these TV shows are pumping out with this. Like there's somehow, some way, these families that are just naturally prone to be leaders, and they're just good people. They don't sacrifice people. They're not Satanists. They surely they're not cannibalists, and they're sure as heck not freaking thirsting for war all the time so they can fucking plant a new flag somewhere else. Bullshit. That's what I say. Vlad Dracula, the dragon. That is just a huge example of why the concept of morally good nobility is just fucking ridiculous. He may have done a lot of good for, Eastern Europe. But let's bring this into question here. Why is it that he was a hero to some and a complete demon lord to everyone else? He had an excuse to be seen as a hero, and that was the Turks. When they were trying to push forward a completely different culture, is always going to seem alien. It's going to seem foreign, obviously. It's going to seem evil simply because it's an outside force coming in, even if they were terrible in so many ways. He became good because of them. But because of them, he became powerful because he won. Alright? This is that, the Hegelian dialect in a way. There was a problem. He came up with a solution, and everyone else gets fucked in the way. I mean, obviously that's not exactly how it goes, problem, reaction, solution, but the point is here. That is how these people think. The moment they get an opportunity, they take it, and they'll bleed everyone else dry to make sure they can hold on to it. That's how they think. They'll only smile at you because that's what they do. They wear a mask. It's the eyes. The eyes will tell you what they are inside. As someone who's related to wealthy people, keep that in mind. Something else I've noticed. Serpent and pagan worship has been rising ridiculously. I mean, I'm one to talk. I got Yggdrasil over here. I got Thor's hammer. I got a Valkyrie on my back. It's too common. Way too common. When it comes to serpent worship, I've been seeing it everywhere. Heck, when I went to the Sonic drive-thru with my family, because I'm a fat ass on occasion, and we got toys for the kids there. There was a serpent ring. Okay, why? I don't know. And then they had a toy that was like, it was just a serpent. It was a big serpent. That's all it was. It was just this big plastic piece of shit. It's getting ridiculous. And a little too obvious. I think it's a build-up for something subconsciously for people. Now, games to which I've seen this, as well as TV shows. Games, For Honor, Dragon Age. Those are two big ones that I've been seeing. I mean, heck, those are the two games that I have, so that's why I can speak on it, because I actually know the experience of it. It's throughout the game. Heck, Dragon Age had so much freaking Templar symbolism that they even have a group called the Templars, who are widely seen as good people to a degree. Obviously, they don't like magic users, but it's, in my opinion, it's like they're trying to alter the image of what it means to be a Templar. Especially with the concept of, oh yeah, they don't use magic. They just, no. They don't invite the demons. Yeah, the fuck right. Anyhow, moving along. TV shows. Game of Thrones, that's an obvious. I mean, with the dragons in it, especially with the concept of Lady Liberty being an actual character, sure, she is whatever the fuck that name is, but the bloodline of the dragon, yeah, obviously there's that. Then you got Vikings. The Vikings TV show with Ivar, the Boneless. Now, he's based on an actual Viking. A lot of those characters on there are actually based on actual Vikings, which that is the cool part of that show. However, the way they portray people is ridiculous because they are trying to gather attention in such a way that they try to romanticize some people and take some evil, sinister being and make you want them, want to be like them. That is an issue that I see. Forgot. When it comes to For Honor, the game, there are Nordics, Knights, and, Samurai. 3 things I want to note about that. The Nordic populations, i.e., the Vikings that they're trying to portray, pagans. The Knights that they're trying to portray are based more off of, like, the Templars with the Crusades and whatnot. Like, those type of, knights. They're not good people. Plus, not good people. Plus, samurai, which are totally cool till you realize from their history, samurai were hated by the people because all they wanted was to war, to conquer, and to enslave people. And they had ideas that their emperor was bloodline to a serpent god. For crying out loud. It's right there. Right there. Like, after a while of being someone who's woke to this, and you look around, you're just like, it's just fucking everywhere. And to those who are completely unaware and they're still inside that box, you just look at them like, this doesn't bother you, this doesn't faze you. Do you look at history? Do you notice things? Do you pay attention to philosophy at all? Do you have a Bible? Do you read your Bible? Like, do you add things together? Like, do you have multiplication capable in your thought process? Well, please do that with things instead of numbers in this case. But anyways, Pokemon, that's right there. That's just practically demon worship as well as having, all kinds of stuff in there, including like serpents and whatnot. I mean, heck, Gyarados. Everyone knows what fucking Gyarados is. I mean, if you know anything about Pokemon, that's like the most, in my opinion, at least in my time period of growing up through things, everyone loved him. That or Zapdos. Anyways, moving on. I already talked about the fast food toys. Last thing I want to touch on before cutting this off, because I don't want to make this too long. Those who talk about millionaires and billionaires. There are good millionaires, to a degree. A lot of them could be fools. A lot of them have their own bubbles that they're stuck in, just like anyone else in the middle or lower classes. However, to be a millionaire, from what my grandfather explained, you're part of the mill, the grind. What does a mill do? It grinds what you reap into that which is eaten. That becomes the food, the flour, okay? The powder, the white powder. Now, that is the millionaire, okay? They control the I guess you could say the barrier between those above and those below, alright? That's how that works. That's why they're millionaires, and they're allowed to be millionaires, okay? Those who are not up to that kind of style of thinking, I guess you could say in philosophy, they become one of us real quick. Billionaires. No such thing as a good person who's a billionaire. 100% true. Guaranteed. I don't care who the fuck you are. If there's a billionaire out there that's good, guess what? He'd be fucking Batman. Let's be completely honest with ourselves here. And that is why they're called billionaires. Baal. Baal worship. You are a godlike status. Baal means lord in the ancient days. So they are lords. We're living under a technocratic oligarchy of wealthy people. Okay? Just like with Rome, they had their emperors, but guess what? The emperor's seat was just a title and a chair. Yeah, there's different kinds of ways of controlling things, and some emperors had a lot of control. And a lot of them, you realize, they also had a lot of friends that they were chained by. Okay? moving on from all that, I just want to make sure that everyone out there, be happy with what you have. I'm happy, even though that I am related to wealthy people. I don't look at them and say, "Man, I wish I was like one of them. Man, I wish I grew up as in that side of the family." I'm happy where I landed at. You know, I used to ask myself, how did he not get so wealthy? Do you see people like fucking Jeff Bezos? And then I think back to what my grandfather told me. He said, if they were in the CIA and they're wealthy, they gave in to the evil. Because in his case, he could have made all kinds of money. He helped with the drug wars. He brought in so much heroin. And that was just his end of the deal. He could have made a lot of money, but he didn't. That's what makes the difference. So do not give in to, this want and need and this coveting. I know a lot of you don't, but it's not worth it. These things plague people's minds. I myself know someone who's a wealthy individual who I'm not even related to. He's plagued by it, and God help him. I pray for him, I really do. I try to talk to him about these things, but he worships money way too much. Anyways, I would like all of you to go with God. I know time is coming near, and I see that every day, not just by the weather from across the world, the signs in the sky, the fact that, Third Temple is getting ready to be rebuilt. And here we are, standing in the midst of it all. Peace with you all. God be praised.